So we're going to actually start with a video up on the screen here, which really highlights what we're passionate about, which is hopefully saving the lives of future generations.
Air pollution was shortening lives and damaging children's lungs.
It's thick, it's smoky, especially when you sat behind it. It's awful.
Why does the world have to be so dirty?
Pollution keeps getting worse.
It's ruining our planet. We could get flooded, our air might become toxic, and animals might die.
Making sure we save our planet isn't just up to you or me, it's for everyone. If we all work together, we can make our world safe for future generations.
This is our future. Please look after it for us.
Thank you for watching. It really highlights what we're passionate about at GTS, which is making a real difference for my children in the future, hopefully, and younger generations as well. So thinking about where we are now, so with a carbon net zero target by 2050, we're a long way behind that. Logistics is a dirty industry, and 25% of all global emissions come from logistics. And only 5% of that logistics is intermodal, which is what we do. So we need to act, and we need to act now. And Tony's now going to talk about how we're going to save the planet.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rosie. So the idea of the video is, to be honest, one of our main objectives tonight is to change mindset, because on a daily basis we operate intermodal freight services, and we're trying to convince companies to move from road to rail and more sustainable modes of freight. But we find mindset is one of the key barriers that's stopping companies doing that. So the short video, what it's meant to do is make people think that this is very, very important topic for the future. So how are we going to save the planet? Well, collaboration. It's very, very simple. As Rosie said, carbon net zero targets are way behind. It's not working. So there's lots of brilliant innovations and desire by a lot of people, but we're still actually behind where we need to be. For example, in the UK, the British Retail Consortium has tried to set targets for scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions. So, emissions have been categorised. So scope 1 is transport, natural gas, refrigeration gas, where they've got a carbon net zero target by 2035. Scope 2 is electricity, where there's a target there for 2030 to be carbon net zero. And scope 3, which is where we come in, is indirect emissions, where they've set targets for 2040. And this is companies like Aldi, who we do a lot of business with. We had a letter from Aldi, what's your green roadmap? We're one of their suppliers. They're now looking at their indirect emissions, which is the transport companies that they use. So this is going to become very, very important for every single company. So, government have got responsibilities in terms of investment, infrastructure, fiscal policy, carbon taxes are now coming in. Businesses have got responsibilities in terms of green roadmap, ESG, emissions, waste, and so on. Everybody's greened out in terms of sustainability. So our key objective tonight is to try and make people really seriously think, and I'm so pleased that everybody's here to discuss that. The key thing, one of the key things that we can offer is actually switching from road to rail. So our company has its own rail company. We have 50 rail locomotives that you saw in the video. We operate 5,000 trains a year, bringing products from Italy into the Benelux, into the UK. So we can help that. And road to rail reduces CO2 emissions by 75%, which is absolutely dramatic. So why aren't we doing it more?
Leading on from that, obviously there's a number of challenges when making a switch. So a big one is mindset. So it's switching mindset with what's important. So you could say cost, but there's a bigger cost to road. So it's switching that first. Rail capacity and infrastructure, where we're very strong. Transit times and reliability. Forward planning, leading on from that. Business P&L pressures, which is another big one. And partnering and collaborating with the right companies who you trust and you can rely on.
And the transport price, where companies look at their logistics and decide, who's going to be used, quite often they look at just the transport price instead of the full cost, the carbon cost, what's the pollution cost. At the moment, maybe there isn't a cost to that company, but there will be because taxes are coming in. And some businesses are very aware and proactive, others not so, and are sort of having the head in the sand and just carrying on with what they're doing now. So there's some changes that are affecting our sector. So all companies will need a green roadmap. Non-eco methods of production and logistics will become more expensive and in some cases prohibitive. ESG accountability. Everybody knows about ESG. Again, some companies taking it very seriously. Some companies who, let's be blunt, have on their website sustainability is key to their strategy, but in reality, on a daily basis, don't actually act on that. And we see that a lot where at the end it comes down to the transport price. That stops some companies from implementing more green methods of transport. Supplier management, that's going to become critical for every company to manage their suppliers. Again, we're being very proactive on that, but we're not there, we're not perfect. Again, a key message for us is let's all look in the mirror and be realistic. Let's be honest. We all like to pretend we're green and we're the best, but there's a long way to go for all of us, quite clearly. And finally, carbon taxes. So, in Germany, some European countries are implementing taxes on road transport. So in Germany, for example, from the 1st of November, the tolls are going up to reflect carbon. Shipping, sea freight, there's carbon taxes coming in from the 1st of January. So these are going to affect every single company that uses these modes of transport. So it's very important to be proactive. So what's GTS, what's our business doing? Well, firstly, we've decided it's actions, not words. So we're going to be really honest. We're going to put it out there. We're going to have frank discussions with our partners, with our customers, with our suppliers, with ourselves, with our staff. And it's actions, not words. We've got a green roadmap, but it's realistic. So things we can do now, we've done. But there are other things where we need maybe collaboration. So we've had some interesting discussions with Francine, for example, earlier on. How can we get better at what we're trying to do? Our group has been a sort of early adopter on GRI, which is a best practice compliance framework where companies don't just report on the financial aspects, but they report on all the ESG aspects of the business. We're trying to decarbonise our own business. Easier said than done. Some things are easy, some not so easy. But again, by collaboration, including some of our colleagues tonight, we can learn more and we can maybe improve our business. But we want to promote that for everybody. The big one for us is obviously offering our customers an intermodal service where we own and operate the trains. So we have 50 rail locomotives, we run 5,000 trains a year. We can help them switch from road to rail. So for example, Aldi, we've saved them 3 million kilos of CO2 pollution, and we call it pollution, not emissions. We've saved them 3 million kilos a year currently. Other big brands like Asahi, we've saved them 2.5 million tons annually. Kilos annually. Barilla, the pasta company, which I know is yeah, so we set a train from Italy to Germany and we took all their product off the road. We switched it from road to rail. And that was done for strategic reasons because, obviously it's a lot greener, the shortage of drivers and so on. So we're trying to collaborate with our customers to actually put in place real examples. I mean, each train that we operate takes 33 trucks off the road, which if you think about that, 33 trucks on the M62 or on the Autobahn or in Italy on the highway, it's a lot of trucks. So that's what we're about. And finally, it's stakeholder engagement, where one of our sort of commitments on our own green roadmap is to go into schools, colleges, and commit a certain number of hours per month to talk to people, try and educate, try and, get the agenda on there. Francine mentioned earlier, students now look at, when they're choosing a company to apply to, how green are they? And let's be honest, if they're not green, they're not going to be relevant in the future.
So what practical steps can we all start to take? So firstly, create a green roadmap, which is something many of you may have already done or started to do. So a key with this is to make it achievable but ambitious, because we want to push on with this. And also, don't forget supply chain, as this accounts for 25% of all global emissions, so it's huge, massive. And also, as we mentioned earlier, collaborate with companies to do this. And check, is your business ESG compliant? And switching from road to rail saves 75% of CO2 emissions, which is a huge amount.
And we don't apologise for repeating that. We're repeating that a lot. The one thing we want to leave you with is road to rail saves 75% of CO2.
That's a key
So
trigger.
if you don't remember anything else, that's the thing. I mean, one truck from Italy to the UK, North Italy to UK, emits 1.5 tons of CO2 pollution. Every truck. Intermodally, it emits less than 0.5 ton. So that's a massive difference. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to a company in Italy a few weeks ago, have 400 trucks by road to the UK every year. I mean, you can imagine the difference if they switch that to intermodal, the amount of CO2 pollution that would be saved. So we have to ask ourselves, is your business causing unnecessary pollution? That's the discussion we're having with our customers. So just to wrap up, our key messages are we're way behind on the targets, despite loads of fantastic ideas and innovations. All businesses need to have a green roadmap. No greenwashing, actions, not words. It's time for an honest approach. Don't forget supply chain. A lot of companies look at their own production first and don't pay so much attention to the actual supply chain. Maybe that's not top priority, but it actually represents 25% of all global emissions, as we've said. So it's really, really important. We can give CO2 certificates, for savings that are made there. Act now or risk being left behind, because business costs are going to increase if companies don't act. And again, as Rosie said, it's our planet, and as we said on the video, let's save it for future generations. And just to finish, Rosie is not just my work colleague, she's my daughter. And we've got to think about future generations. That's the key. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.